And good morning to you on this Thursday, back in the saddle here at the flagship station of the Widu Radio Network, WIDU, 1600 AM, 99.7. There is a 98.5, but I'm talking about 99.7 for this one. Matter of fact, I told the station, I said, man, I've been listening to 98.5 for that quartet music, man. I like that. I like it. That's right. I don't unashamedly. I like that style of music. But anyway, though, so back this morning for you, producing this morning, Reverend Carl Brinkley, and we have on the line there DL. Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning. Good morning on this holiday. We've had this holiday 3-day.
Yeah,
weekend.
man, really. Check it out. So because the 4th of July lands on a Saturday, they have Friday off. So Friday would be an actual holiday for that. And so, I guess a mail will get held up 2 days then, right? But anyway.
No. The feds work tomorrow. They just don't work on Saturday.
Okay, all right. But anyway, though, but look, we do appreciate everyone. Look, it's going to be hot out there today. By 3 o'clock, with my little thing, it says that it will be 99 degrees this afternoon, mid-afternoon. So factor in the heat index, probably going to be around, up in the mid 105, 106s up in there. So, just be careful out there. Now, I'll not give you all the information, but I want you to do your own research on this. I was reading this thing, DL, talking about what not to eat when it's real hot like this. So they're saying there's certain foods that's not good for you to do. And so, but that's going to be that. So that's going, that's kind of like crazy hot, man. But before I get into our morning show here, I do want to talk about the 16th church anniversary and homecoming over at Kingdom Impact Global Ministries, right sort of kind of cat a corner across the street from us at 2503 Murchison Road. And on Friday the 10th, Apostle Michael McGill is going to be there at 7 p.m. on that Sunday morning, July the 12th. They're going to have Apostle Tyrone Smith at 9:30. And, of course, the host apostle there is Chief Apostle William T. Ford Sr., and they're going to have Family and Friends Day on Saturday the 11th from 1 to 5. Go over, got free cookout, featuring plenty of food, entertainment for kids, and fellowship for everyone. If you want more information about that, you can reach them at 910-488-9456 or www.kigm.org. So that sounds like it's going to be a great event. So I just want to rehash a little of what we were talking about on Tuesday. Understand my position. My position is that now, if you're in front of me, or whether you're elected official or not, if you're saying something that I don't really know something about, then I'm not going to question. I can question you on it, but I'm not giving you any pushback. Okay, that's the only fair thing to do. However, like you all fact check me, I think that everybody behind these microphones need to be fact checked, and so that's the way it works. The mayor was in, and I'm not going to, when I see him again, bring this up unless he wants to bring it up, because that's going backwards. We're going forward now. And you watch the media, you see that all the time. They fact check all these politicians. And so I'm going back to what the mayor said. Just because we were talking about this whole thing with the 911 centers. And now what he was saying was that they had the 911 center connected to the police department, and the one that is in the county, that they had a higher ranking or rating or whatever. That appears not to be true. I did my research, and I did talk to some individuals after I did my research to confirm it. They have the same ranking when it comes to that. So if you're using that as a basis to say that it should be run by the city, then that doesn't hold water, because that's just simply not true. The county has the same ranking that they have from this international group, and it's a high ranking, so the county 911 system has the same ranking. Additionally, when we were talking, I was talking to them about budgetary matters and how that some of these other cities have double the budget what we have. And his response to that was, well, they control their utilities. That is in part true. These other cities control water and sewer. They don't, but they don't control electricity. Matter of fact, Fayetteville is very unique in the fact that PwC buys its electricity from Duke Energy, but it still is coming from them when you're paying for PwC. And so you're paying PwC, but they're buying it from a bigger entity, and it gets to us, and then it gets filtered out that way. So that's not totally true, because PwC is very unique in what they're doing here in Fayetteville, and there's nowhere else in North Carolina that is doing it exactly the way we're doing it. Also, for PwC, and all I can say is thank God for PwC, because PwC operates off of the ratepayers, what we pay them. That's how they function. So they're not going into any property tax issues or anything else. They're not getting money from another source from us other than what the ratepayers are paying, which is, I think, is a great thing. I mean, that has to be a good thing. And I can say, thank God that the city of Fayetteville doesn't own PwC. It is my belief that if the city of Fayetteville owned PwC right now, it would be sold to Bernhard. So thank God that they are their own individual entity. Of course, they're connected to the city, but still they have their own board and with their own charter. Because if it were not for that, it would probably be owned by Bernhard, and I don't believe that's going to be that would be a good situation for the residents of Fayetteville. But anyway, enough of that recap there. So, the council members, according to City View newspaper, are saying, well, they went and they visited a data center. Well, now that's not a crime. It's not a crime to do that. The question that I had concerning that is whether or not more than 5 of them went. In other words, if they had a quorum, if 6 of them went somewhere, I'm gonna have a problem with it, because they have a legal responsibility to tell everybody if 6 of them get together at any point. But it's my understanding, and I double checked, and I think I'm accurate with this, that there was not a quorum, there was not a majority of them that visited a data center. The specific data center that is in question is the one in the AIT building. And again, there was no travel involved in that, because all they had to do was walk out the office and walk across the street. AIT building is right across from City Hall. So they went over there, they visited, and they're looking at things. Why not? That seems like a reasonable thing to do. However, I don't think it should be a secret. However, if less than a quorum went to it, I don't see what the big deal is. Dia?
Okay, so in city council, a quorum is less than 6, right?
Right. I mean, based upon whom I talked to yesterday, and this was somebody that would know from the city, it was confirmed that it was less than 6, and that the reporter was told was less than 6, and I don't know why it was printed the way that it was printed inside of the newscast, the print newscast, saying that it was 6. But I'm told that for sure it was not 6, it was 5.
Yeah, and it's a good thing that it was not 6. And like you said, even if they wanted all council members to look at it on a specific day, say they had to set up, all you do is send 3 or 4 at a time, stagger the times to get around it, Sometimes they need to do things. Folks got to realize we don't even know if they're on. I guess we know it's not in public. We don't know if they're on conference calls during their spare time. They don't have to tell us. But when you do it, it's one thing to do it on telephone line, a conference call, but when it's out in public, the public definitely has a right to know because we need the media to be there.
Sure.
And one of the pushbacks on it from a person that used to be on the park advisory board that I follow on Facebook is that they don't like the dinner meetings that supposedly, correct me if I'm wrong, that started under former Mayor Tony Schiavone, and it's a way for folks to get things done. So, but if they are still doing that, I know the media is invited, but the whole public is not entitled to be in there because the room is not big enough.
Yeah, I think that one way to remedy some of these things is to have someone in there taking notes. So if you have a question as to what was discussed, then there would be some official way that we can say this or that was said. I think that from what I'm told, that what happened was the dinner meeting was supposed to be a mechanism that would allow some council members to get kind of up to speed of their packets, which I have a problem with.
Hold on. Now, I did my research. Where's my paperwork at? Because I copied that I'm covering in a couple weeks on a Friday, so me, you, and Jay. I looked at the salaries of the three, to me, important boards in Cumberland County.
Okay.
That would be with the county commissioners, the city council, and the board of education. The county commissioners make a little bit more. Folks, if you're going to run from an elected office, especially of the three that I just mentioned, you're getting paid, and you have to do some of your work on your own. That's what you're getting compensated for. The city and the county get some medical benefits and dental. Now, you don't get to come. It's like, see, I was an Army Reserve First Sergeant. I had a commander. And when you're in the Reserve and National Guard, you don't get paid for checking your email during battle assembly or drill. That's what we called it. However, if they sent us to a medical appointment, they had to compensate us. So when you accept a leadership position like I did, there's an expectation. I just can't wait till Friday night before drill to start checking my email to know what we're doing this weekend. And they get compensated for it. That is a bad excuse, and it's lazy, and you don't need to be in office.
Well, you're not getting any arguments from me on that. I mean, my question is, but not only that, you can kind of sort of look and see what they're doing during the meeting and determine who came to the meeting prepared and who came to the meeting unprepared. And that's been my criticism of some particular members of these legislative bodies, because it's kind of obvious that they haven't looked at their packets. So now, let's say you asking a question and the answer is already in a document in front of you. Now, you could be asking a question just to get it in the public records. I got that piece. People do use that strategy.
You taught me that. That's what you taught me, because I approached that to you. Why does this person do this and that? And you explained to me they need to get it public on the record.
But there's some of them, though, they don't know. They're asking a question, and as a matter of fact, I'll be honest, I've seen it happen quite a bit with the Board of Commissioners and the county manager sitting there, being nice about it, but like, Mr. Commissioner or Mr. Commissioner, the information is in your packet. They don't call them out, but, but now, if you're not a reader, because I think that some people, they just don't get it. If you're not a reader and you can't consume information in a pretty hurried pace, you can be at a deficit, especially these people talking about going to Raleigh or Washington, D.C. That's all you do. Now, of course, they're watching TV and they see somebody stand in front of a camera, but they don't do that all day. I mean, man, these meetings start, because, I worked up there. These meetings start, and it's like 7-something in the morning. And then sometimes they run to after midnight. You have to be on your A game every day.
Speaking of midnight, that's how we got Cape Arena, ain't it, Troy?
That's true. I mean, look, the Democrats was in charge. Dan Blue was the Speaker of the House. Dan Blue's an African American, originally out of Robeson County. He is a North Carolina Central graduate and a Duke Law School graduate. But yeah, they pull a midnight trick on him, so they let a bunch of them go home, And they said, we're going to have a cable arena, and thank God that we had.
Well,
Because look,
it's short.
Lily Jim, I'm telling you, man, anybody remember Lily Jim? Oh, my God. I mean, look, I seen worse stuff in Southeast Asia, man. I'm telling you, it was terrible. It was terrible.
Folks, you're going to always hear this story from me because it's going to always be relevant. Halloween 1988, because I got stationed at Bragg got here in May. Guys, we went out to a Halloween function, party, or whatever, dance at Fayetteville State. This is October, Halloween. So we go into Lilly Gymnasium. The first thing I think about is the segregated schools my parents went to called Dunbar. It was small, had one bleachers on one side. It was bigger than Lilly Gymnasium. It was for the black folks back in the 50s. And I'm like, this is 1988, a state-funded school for higher learning. Wow, that was weird, but they've come a long way. So
sure.
I just said we always gonna go down that road, Troy, because it's always gonna be relevant. Because if you look at Fayetteville State compared to what it is now, in the process of having to get funds to make that university what it is today, but we can get back on topic.
Sure, yeah, but anyway, look, now, love, look, that's my alma mater, and it's yours too, right? Are you a Fayetteville State grad?
I took class there. I took class there, but I graduated in another university.
Okay, all right. But look, I'm a Bronco Pride, but understand now, they didn't go into the UNC system until the early 70s. I don't know exactly what year, but they went into the UNC system in the early 70s. It was Fayetteville State Teachers College. You know, all these African-American or these HBCUs started off as teacher colleges, most of them, because at that time we understood the importance of education and educating our people. And now, you know, when you see all the people going through, you know, you got those different kind of degrees. They're not in education now. You know, they got those degrees in something else. But now you go down to Tuskegee, man, what they do down there, they got those engineers. Matter of fact, Tuskegee graduates more engineers than any other university in the state of Alabama. That's a fact. You can Google that. I'm telling you. So, you know, these schools are incredibly important, without a doubt. And I just hope that people continue to see their relevance. Because understand something. Look, I do want to share this, because I was reading this information just the other day ago. People that go to HBCUs, the graduation rate is not incredible, but guess what? It's light years ahead of the majority of African Americans that go to non-HBCUs. They don't graduate. And the ones that go to HBCUs, that go to move on to a white school, so to speak, to get an advanced degree, they do better than most of the ones that come out of white institutions. But anyway.
Well, Troy, if you qualified to get in those institutions and you didn't go apply yourself, that's a reflection on them.
Oh, I know. You're right. You're right.
Well,
but still, it's a different kind of thing, though. I mean, so, you know, you're sitting in the classroom, you're not going to take but 2 tests. It's going to be a midterm and a final. And you sitting in the classroom with 400-500 people. That's different than a more personalized setting where those professors are watching the students and they're trying to get everybody across the finish line. You know, I'm not knocking those places where you got multimillionaires, kids sitting up in there, but trust me, that multimillionaire's kid whose dad is dropping $10 million into that foundation, he or she's gonna get taken care of before your kid, generally speaking, in that kind of environment. Come on, we know that.
Well, I can tell you, over the years, I've known folks who wanted their child to go to Winston-Salem State and A&T. I don't know. It may be because it was overcrowded and they could have been a little more selective than Fayetteville State. They couldn't get in to Winston where their parents went, and she wanted to go. She got Fayetteville State, and she said, and when she got there, she loved it so much. She said she wasn't going to transfer, and she doing her advanced degree at Fayetteville State. So Winston the HBCUs have brought up their standards. They had to, and you talk about Fayetteville State. What Chancellor Allison did was, I think, was remarkable. Allowed summer school for all the freshmen after his first year. They were allowed to go to summer school free, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Correct. I mean, because he was about getting their graduation rate up. Because now, my daughter graduated in 4 years at A&T, but I told her, I said, look, when I look, because I looked at the numbers. At that time, it was only, I mean, it was a very, was it maybe 15, 20% of them were graduating in 6 years. In 6 years. And some of these students were allowed to be like full just career students. But I'm sitting in there and they said, look, we got to stop this, because they had all of his parents in there. Said, look, we want your kid out of here in 4 years. You know what I mean? Maximum 5, but they need to be out of here, you know? Because some of them would just come in there and they would just, you know, they just stand there. I mean, it's like, look, my daughter went to the school and there were some students that she was dealing with. They were there when she got there, and they were there when she left. I'm just telling you, I know this, because I interacted with some of them. I'm like, good grief. But, you know.
Well, some of that's on the university, too. They want that money. Because, a friend of mine was telling me he had one of his military buddies said his child, this is about 20 years ago, started A&T, but he was not classified because he hadn't been declared. The major wasn't declared because he wasn't ready to get in the real classroom. They had him there. He was getting his grades up. They had him taking tests. They hadn't really classified him. And to me, if you have to do all that, you shouldn't accept folks like that. But he was paying money. So they need to get the administrations out of colleges that accept marginal students. You can look. I tell young folks, when you hit ninth grade, that's not the time. They look at your resume from ninth on up because they want to see how you progress. But it's before you hit that ninth grade. If you're planning on going to college, really, like you say, third or fourth grade, you need to be on that trajectory. And HBCUs have done a lot better in rejecting folks and telling them they need to be going to community college. That's an important thing too, because those courses transfer. Real quick before we go to break, I used to work when I was at SRO at 71st. One of the teachers, his son went to Winston-Salem State, A&T. They knew white kids, baseball. First, they went to community colleges and then transferred when A&T did have a baseball team and played baseball up there because black kids didn't want to play. So use that community college system. If you're not a B student going into an HBCU, I take that back. You got to at least be a C student. You know, get your GPA up. I tell anybody, nothing wrong for our private HBCU schools, but if you don't qualify for a black state-funded HBCU, you need to think twice because it costs more to go to the Shaws and the Livingstones and the Johnson C. Smith compared to Winston-Salem, Fayetteville State, Elizabeth City, and A&T. So folks need to really think about the financial burden you put on yourself when you decide to take on college loans, because going to college 6 years, I hate to see the bill at the end.
Well, I'm going to just say this quickly before we go to the break. Let me say this. Look, I have a degree from Fayetteville Tech, too, as well as Fayetteville State. If you're going over there thinking that's going to be easier, you're wrong. In many instances, it might be more difficult at that community college than it is at the university setting. It's not.
Yeah, but the fee, though, Troy, is a big difference.
Oh, yeah, the money-wise, you can save some money, but I'm just saying is that you still got to be prepared to be over there as well as being.
That's true. That's true, but
let's take a break.
This.
We'll come back. Let's take a break. Inside of the morning show with DL this morning, and so. But anyway, if you want to join in, give us a call, 205-825-9971. 205-825-9971. We'll be back for more following this.
After months of negotiations, North Carolina's proposed $34.4 billion state budget cleared its first major hurdle on Wednesday at the General Assembly. It's expected to be voted on again today and passed. A state-supported plan for a potential Major League Baseball stadium could still become reality. North Carolina House Speaker Dustin Hall said he wants to pump the brakes on the plan for now while pressing ahead with a proposed state budget. The Federal Reserve's new chairman is signaling a focus on lowering inflation despite President Trump's push for lower interest rates. As 4th of July festivities began across North Carolina, Governor's Highway Safety Program has launched its annual enforcement campaign, Operation Firecracker Booze It and Lose It. Dangerous heat moves in today through the weekend. Mike Rayleigh, NCN News.
I'm Jamie Monticelli, WIDU Radio News. The Cumberland County Sheriff's Office has been made aware of a scam involving individuals who are contacting family members of inmates saying that money must be paid in order to have an inmate placed on pretrial release. That is false. The Cumberland County Sheriff's Office will never call, text, or message anyone requesting money to release an inmate, place an inmate on pretrial release, or for any other purpose related to an inmate's custody. Fayetteville police have successfully identified and charged a suspect in the 2020 murder of Nina Mollison, utilizing cutting-edge forensic genetic genealogy. Justice Robert Sampson, a 31-year-old white male, has been extradited back to Fayetteville and is currently being held in the Cumberland County Jail, charged with first-degree murder. The investigation began in 2020 when police responded to a residence on Murchison Road, and they located Nina Mollison deceased. The North Carolina Chief Medical Examiner's Office ruled her death to be a homicide. From WIDU Radio, I'm Jamie Monticelli.
Scorching hot temperatures are in the forecast today, with highs climbing into the upper 90s to 100 degrees. It's mostly sunny and dry. Tonight, it's mostly clear and warm. Lows only dip into the low to mid 70s. Friday, we're back in the upper 90s to low 100s. The heat index between 105 and 110. It's mostly sunny and dry. I'm meteorologist Kat Campbell in the NCN Weather Center. Scorching hot temperatures are in the forecast today, with highs climbing into the upper 90s to 100 degrees. It's mostly sunny and dry. Tonight, it's mostly clear and warm. Lows only dip into the low to mid 70s. Friday, we're back in the upper 90s to low 100s. The heat index between 105 and 110. It's mostly sunny and dry. I'm meteorologist Kat Campbell in the NCN Weather Center.
Hey, you looking for your next car? Start at Bryan Honda, 4104 Rayford Road in Fayetteville. At Bryan Honda, we make buying a car simple, stress-free, and affordable. Whether you're searching for a brand new Honda or a quality pre-owned vehicle, we've got a huge selection to fit every lifestyle and every budget. From fuel-efficient Civics and Accords to family-friendly CRVs and Pilots, Bryan Honda has the perfect vehicle waiting for you, and with our friendly, knowledgeable sales team, you'll never feel pressured. Need financing? No problem. Bryan Honda works with multiple lenders to get you approved fast with competitive rates that make sense for you. Plus, our certified service department is here long after the sale, keeping your Honda running strong for years to come. Drive smarter, drive happier, and drive home today from Bryan Honda, 4104 Rayford Road in Fayetteville, or you can visit online, bryanhonda.com. Your road starts here. Nobody beats a Bryan Honda deal. Not now, not ever.
If you have been injured in a motor vehicle collision, you should understand that the insurance company is not on your side. It is the adjuster's job to get by with paying you as little as possible. Call personal injury trial lawyer Brent Adams now for a free no-obligation consultation. Call now, 910-888-8888. Don't hesitate. Call 8. At Brent Adams & Associates, we make things right.
Angelic Florist Creations, 442 Hillsborough Street, Fayetteville, is family owned and operated, proudly serving the Fayetteville area. Whatever the occasion, Angelic Florist Creations can create a floral arrangement or gift for any occasion or holiday. Angelic Florist Creations has prompt, friendly, and caring service. If you want to say you care, you can always say it with flowers from Angelic Florist Creations, 442 Hillsborough Street, Fayetteville. Call 910-485-2205.
It's one of life's simplest comforts. Turning on the tap and knowing clean, safe water's there. A glass before bed, a warm shower in the morning, water to cook, clean, and care for loved ones. So often, it's something that can be taken for granted. But behind every drop is a commitment to quality, safety, and service. At Fayetteville PWC, providing award-winning water is more than a service. It is a responsibility and a point of pride. Delivering clean, reliable water remains a top priority for Fayetteville and surrounding communities every single day, because clean water supports healthy families, strengthens neighborhoods, and helps communities thrive today and for generations to come. Discover more about the difference quality water makes at faypwc.com. Fayetteville PWC, always there, always on, always built to serve.
Back to the morning show. Got DL and I were having this conversation about HBCUs, which I think is an important conversation, particularly. But DL, I'll say this though, that if you want your child to go into some type of medicine or something like that, you really need to be on track around the 6th grade. Now, I'm not a counselor or a professor. I just been a parent. I'm just saying is that if your kid is not on track in that middle school era, it could be very difficult for them, because the maths, if you don't catch the maths up, if you start that math, if you get behind on those maths and those sciences, it's gonna be rough for you. I'm not saying it's impossible to do, but it could be very difficult to get into them hard sciences.
Well, math was, and that was the toughest one for me. So I'm here to testify about math. It was rough because I got behind. And when you're trying to get caught up, your classmates are ahead of you.
Yeah, but see, it's like my friend Lord Hackley, Dr. Hackley used to be the chancellor at Fayetteville State, been the chancellor at Arkansas Pine Bluff, been the chancellor at A&T. He said this, he said, look, when you allow students to come out taking general math or consumer math and all that's cool. You made an A in that, right? But what is that A going to do for you? I mean, the only thing those kind of maths would do would help you to balance your checkbook, and we don't have those anymore now anyway. Most people don't. But if you don't go beyond geometry and algebra 2, most of the times you're not going to be able to get past that other stuff, because, you got those equations inside of physics and chemistry, man. Those are algebraic equations that you got to figure out. And if you don't know how to do that, you're just going to be in trouble.
Well, you think about it. You brought back my high school. Consumer math and business math back in the 80s. I don't know when they changed it in North Carolina, because they do now algebra is required and geometry, I think. That was it. That's when I graduated in 87. I took algebra 1. That was it, because I wasn't planning on going to college. But those two that you just mentioned, that was it. Once you had those, you qualified for diploma in North Carolina to get you out the door as far as math.
Right. Because, see, right now, it's my belief that I know that there are youngsters that are taking algebra 1 in the 8th grade. But look,
these youngsters are smarter than we are.
But no, they're not. But look, I believe that everybody has the ability to do things. It's just that you got to build on those blocks. You see what I'm saying? Unless you ride to school in a short school bus, I believe you can handle it. You see what I'm saying?
Well, I meant to say their requirements. Let me rephrase that. Their requirements to graduate are tougher than what I had in 87, because there was no requirement for the algebra and geometry. Let me rephrase that. Their maths are a little bit, they're challenged now as far as math goes.
Right, because see, but look, just think about it. That little kid over there in Taiwan or whatever, He's taking that math in the 3rd or 4th grade. You know what I'm saying? That's why they're producing all these scientists, man, and these doctors. Because if you're not tough on them hard sciences, you will not make it. Now, the one course that keeps most people out of medical school is organic chemistry. Now, that is a monster course. And, but you got to get past it. But organic chemistry, that's a monster.
So we can segue right into the health field. Cape Fear Valley just announced they're laying off 200 workers, primarily because of the financial uncertainty and cut in federal reimbursements. Now, when they say federal reimbursement, since she did not expound, they did not expound, I'm not going to make any speculations because we're definitely going to have to revisit this down the road, but it is what it is. Reimbursements and cut in some type of federal programs. And so you have people in this region that will be out of work. They didn't put out the timeline. And, you think about Kelly over the last month and a half. I mean, not Kelly, but Goodyear. So, my heart goes out there for folks who will have to reinvent themselves and find another field to go into.
Well, I don't know about having found another field to go into because I think once you're a nurse, I mean, what do you do? I think there
we don't know the positions. What positions are they talking about, though?
That's true, too. But I would say this, that now, are they talking about the system? Because Cape Fear has a hospital on Rayford Road going towards Hope County, and they have 2 hospitals in Harnett County. You have one in Dunn, which was Betsy Johnson, and you have the new facility in Lillington, and you have the home facility there off of Owen Drive. So I don't know if 200 meant all of those facilities or what, because if you break that down like that, that could be 30 to 40, maybe 50 employees at each facility, not just targeting Owen Drive.
Well, and you also have campuses in Bladen. So you bring up a good point. I didn't think about it from that perspective. But, we don't know if they're support workers or nurses. Listen, your nurse ain't going to be at a job too long because they got these travel nurses. And so nurses should be fine. Find another job somewhere. But still, we don't know how long they've been at Cape Fear. We don't know what process they're going to use to lay folks off. But it's not good news to hear about going into the holiday weekend for somebody, because now somebody is, when they tell these employees, somebody's got some decisions to make.
Yeah, it's true. Well, you got another thing, too. You have a situation where you have I'm going to switch over to the Supreme Court. They're saying that these transgender people cannot participate in these sports. These guys they're guys, and they're saying that they're females, can't be competing against these females. And I think that's fair. I mean, I think they shouldn't be doing that. There's a reason why you got men's sports and women's sports. Caitlin, what's her last name? Evans? What's that young lady name? Play for the WNBA.
You talking about Caitlin Clark? She plays for the Indiana Fever.
Yeah, Caitlin Clark. There's no way she's going to go to the NBA and play. No, but you can take the worst guy in the NBA can go to the WNBA and probably be averaging 40 points a night. I mean, come on. I mean, and these people.
Caitlin Clark is struggling against the women right now, so she definitely can't play in the NBA. Their best player, the WNBA, Asia Wilson, she would not make it in the NBA. But I know the point you're making, and you talk about the advocacy, because they have advocacy for that message and wanting them transgender to play. But some of their biggest allies have come out against this and said the same thing. Charles Barkley, he'll tell you he's a big supporter of LGBTQ. He's got friends. That's what he always says. He's against it. Bob Costas, you can't get no more left-leaning than him. I remember when CNN had him on, and they thought that he would go have an issue with it because at the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, had ruled the same way, and the CNN guy was kind of forward that Bob Costas say it's a common sense thing. No, they shouldn't play. Martina Navratilova, the second best female tennis player behind Venus Williams. No. And, Pete Buttigieg, soldier, he's married to a man. No. These folks say it's common sense. You can't, and it goes against Title IX. It's funny. This past year would have been, Title IX was signed in 1972. And like Rahm Emanuel say, the chief of staff under Barack Obama and former Chicago mayor, it doesn't make sense. And I don't believe in discriminating against anybody, but women should be playing women's sports. Now, if you want to do a co-ed team, that's fine and dandy. But I tell you this, and before we move on to something else, let guys start pretending to be women in high school just to get full rides to colleges to get the free ride. Then somebody would have a problem with it.
So look, man, I don't know if you play golf, right? You go out in that golf course. I'm a little bit color challenged, but you go out on that golf course, and Carl, you play, right? Carl said he plays at it. Well, look, they got different teeing off points based on who you are. Okay, you strong, healthy male, you back here. You're an old guy, you OG like Troy. Then you up here, and then the females are even closer up. I mean, everybody doesn't tee off from the same spot. You see what I'm saying? Come on now, but it just, and like, look, bro, in California, this one guy, because this was what he's a guy, he said, well, I'm transgender, and he was competing against all of these females swimming. And of course, he was beating them all. And they said, well, it's not fair. So what they did, they gave out 2 trophies. They gave him a trophy, and then they have a trophy for the female that came in second. For real.
That's what started. And the other side, to be fair, because somebody sent us saying, well, it's only 10 athletes that played in the NCAA, the National College Athletic Association. It's not like it's a wave going in there, but that's not the point, because it could be potentially more down the road. The Supreme Court ruled on it because they have to rule on things when regular Joe citizen files a lawsuit and it goes through the courts. They have to finally say, we're going to make a decision. And, to each his own. I just think it needs to be fair. To me, it's about being fair. It's not fair to women. That's why there's Title IX.
Oh, yeah, of course it's not.
Why would you want to gut something that was a legislation that was for women? Because women wasn't getting their fair share of things, facilities. They were playing in lesser buildings. There's a reason why when you go to Carolina, the women still play in Carmichael and the men play in the Dean Dome,
This is true. Well, speaking of the Supreme Court, there was a big ruling that if you're born here, you're a citizen here. So I guess folks are still come across the border, have a baby, and then say, hey, look, you can't bust up my family. I mean, that's what they're doing, bro. It wasn't designed to be that way, but that's where we are now.
Well, Congress, it's a pathway, I was told, and it's not about ratifying the Constitution. It's a way around it. I look at it like this. Just enforce the laws on the books, and we'll be fine. Now, they talk about some stuff that I looked at it vaguely and listened to it. They're not going to let women who are presumed to be pregnant come into the country. Now, with that said, they did arrest folks. When they find out there's a scheme, because this happened in 2015. This happened under the Obama and Trump administration, where they have schemes. They do it in the military too. Soldiers will get married so they can get a basic allowance for housing, sham marriages, because you get more when you're married because you got dependents.
Correct.
So they had folks that they had the federal government caught folks coming over here, having babies. They had a ring and they charged them. So this does, on a smaller scale, I don't know how big it is, but this has happened between 2010 and 2020 where folks come over here to have babies. And it ain't just from South America, south of the border. They're coming from across the water, Europe, et cetera. So there is, there's a small problem. I'm not going to say big because if it was big, it'd be on some major networks. And I hadn't seen it on any network. First time I heard about it was when they were talking about probably implementing the policy on what the federal government has found in previous years of folks doing what they call anchor babies.
Yeah, well, and then this is what I was told. Well, I shouldn't say told. This is what I saw. It said that the number of actual Chinese people that have their babies here, because they're here for diplomatic reasons or whatever, but they say it might be something like 800,000 since we've been doing this. I mean, they could come back and throw an election, man. I mean, I'm just saying is that at some point you got to say this don't make sense. You see what I'm saying?
Well, now what they can and what they are doing is two different things, in my opinion. Now, I don't know what area. Well, then they need to track them. They need to track them because, listen, some of this is because we're going to the midterms. And, there's a lot of reports out there. You as the person, going to have to decide what you believe to be credible and whatnot. Now, in China, they have a max on how many kids you can have. They control the birth rate. They try to anyway. So it ain't too far-fetched they come over here because we don't put restrictions on them. But that is interesting because when you're born here, you automatically have citizenship.
Right, so I'm saying. And then they say, well, you can't bust up my family now. And another thing, they say that people, there's another way around it. They're planning their vacations while they're pregnant so that they can say, oops, while I was here, I had a baby. You know what I'm saying? And so then that child becomes a citizen. And
well, since you went there, okay, we already know, let's face it, let's be real. There's a presumption that all the illegals coming from south of the border are going to vote Democrat if they could. So the Asian population that's doing this, what say you their vote? Who are they voting for?
Well, the thing about it is, you can go back and you can see what Hillary said, what Obama said, Chuck Schumer, all of the Democrats, what they said about this. You don't have to go back that far. Just go back 10, 15 years or more. And now they're not saying, they're saying something entirely different. They're saying something totally different from what they said then. A reasonable person should say, now, why are they doing that? I mean, so they're saying something entirely different. So a reasonable person would probably conclude that they're saying something different because, their mind is somewhere else. That they do believe that's what's going to help them. It's just like somebody said, well, if you want everybody to prove that they're a citizen to vote, you're going to take out 25 million people in America. I mean, they're telling us exactly where they're coming from, DL.
Okay, well, wait a minute. Who do you think the Asians going to tend to? You think they're going to vote conservative or are they going to be liberal voters?
Well, I mean, of course, most of them they believe it's going to be a particular way. So I saw Reverend Paul came in here. He's running out now. So I did make mention of. Did you hear about those two people climbing the thing in New York, the Empire State Building? Did you hear about that? They got arrested yesterday.
Yeah.
There was look. I'm not beating up on you, but they were Steelers fans, both of them. So what's wrong with y'all, man? You know what I'm saying?
I don't know.
They want no AI. They got arrested. Paul told me they was AI. They were not AI. They were arrested. That was real. National news story. Climbing. I mean, what's wrong with these people, man? Well, I gotta give them credit for one thing though. They got some nerve to be climbing that high, to scale that high.
Yeah. But well, that's New York, and that's the left coast on the East Coast, New York.
Reverend Carl said, asked you about what now?
Jaylen Brown going to Philadelphia.
Jaylen Brown going to Philadelphia.
I don't get it. He's a nice young man. Don't get in trouble. I don't get the trade. You know, MVP of the championship 2 years ago. I don't get it. He doesn't stay injured like Tatum from Duke. I don't get what Boston's trying to do. But I think it's a good move for Philly, and they should be front runners in the East if Joel Embiid can stay healthy.
Well, look,
he never stay healthy. Oh, you got to have the mayor pro tem in, Troy.
Uh-huh.
You know, he's from Philly. You got to have the mayor pro tem in. He's from Philly.
That's true. Well, yeah. We got to get him in. But look, check it out. I end with this guy. We all over the place, but still, look, this is our Friday, this Thursday. So the last thing is, I'm watching this thing talking about Golden State. Everybody over 40, man. They're trying to resemble the Steelers. What's that about?
Jeff is about 38 or 39.
That's what I'm saying. But hey, look, I think the youngest one in that little bunch is 36. You got a 40-year-old plus. I mean, really, they're ranging from 36 to 42 or 40, something like that. I mean, I thought basketball was a young man's game.
Man, we ain't talked about basketball. They doing so many trades over the last 3 days. I get those notifications, and I might just slow it down because I'm getting notified over scrubs like Stephen A. today. I don't need to know that this guy going to another team. I'm getting all these notifications. I got to change my notifications. Unless it's a big name, you don't notify me.
Well, look, understand, I'm old enough to get my little red, white, and blue card, and you stick around long enough, DL, they're going to give you one, okay? I'm Medicare, but when you have athletes almost old enough to get Medicare, there's a problem. Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah, so this is the 250th year. I reminisce about 76 when I was 6 because I remember that summer, getting those quarters, those bicentennial quarters was important to me, and the cookouts, the family atmosphere, missing all my loved ones, my older ones that are gone. I don't think I'm going to see 2076 because I was born in 69. I take that back. I'll be over 100 years old. I don't think I'll see 2076 to see 200, but enjoy yourself. 250 years of America.
Look, our time is up, man. But look, you stick around long enough, just get away from them Steelers and get with the Raiders or something like that. You might live to be 100, okay?
All right, Troy.
I'll see you later, brother. Have a great one, brother.